All right, hello and welcome, season 2. It's been a little while. It's been a little over a month. We had some things going on, but Zack and Mac are back. We're going to talk a little football today, pretty much only football today. We're going to keep this comeback episode a little bit shorter. We have a lot of excited stuff, obviously, planned for Super Bowl next week. We're also going to try to figure out how we're going to do NBA picks moving forward. But right now, just, Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Good to be back. Zack and Max season 2. Season 1, make sure you check it out on YouTube and Spotify, man. We grinded for a few months there. Banged out 10 episodes there in season 1 now.
That's
season 2, we're back at it, man. It feels good to be back on the mic and talking to you, Zach.
Yeah, Matt, I love the new background.
Yeah, that's another thing. We're back in the basement. We got the fridge in the background.
Love it. If you need a snack, you can go grab it right there.
Okay, a little quick drink right here. I think it's actually a freezer. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Some
we got
ice
a
cream
to my left here too, though, so that's good.
So you're all, yeah. You can even open the fridge to get some extra light in there if you wanted to.
Yeah.
If it gets too hot down there, which probably isn't happening in southeastern Pennsylvania in the winter.
Cold down here.
Yeah, did you get snow yesterday? We got snow.
We got snow. We got a little bit of snow. We got some flurries.
Yeah.
And some freezing rain, but that's about it.
Oof. Yeah, the freezing rain's a bad time, especially when it coats the snow, and then you gotta shovel it up, and the shovel doesn't want to break through the freezing rain. This is the quality content everybody signed up for. Is
exactly
the weather report. Now let's get to something a little bit more exciting. I'll tell you where it won't be snowing. It won't be snowing in Raymond James Stadium not this coming Sunday, but next Sunday after. I believe it's February 7th. We have our Super Bowl matchup ready to go. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to become the first team ever in the history of the Super Bowl to be at home for the game. Oh, it's insane. And then they're going to play the Kansas City Chiefs. It's the 5th matchup between Brady and Mahomes. We're not going to do any predictions, but Matt, what was your first reaction once you saw that the two teams were set?
I'm really excited. And we kind of talked a little bit before the show about how this Super Bowl is going to be a really good one compared to maybe some of the other Super Bowls that we've gotten in the past. You can look back at that Rams-Patriots game from a few years ago, the 10-3 debacle. If we're going to go way earlier back into the decade, you can look at that Broncos-Seahawks one that was 43-8 in that one as well. So I'm really excited to see this matchup. Obviously, the quarterback matchup is the biggest one, Zach, with Brady and Mahomes, the best quarterback of all time versus this rising star in Patrick Mahomes, who's just an absolute beast under Andy Reid. And with Tom Brady out of New England, out of Bill Belichick's system, now he's in Tampa Bay, and with Bruce Arians, who personally I would like to see. I would be happy if he got a Super Bowl ring. He's a great,
he deserves one. He's a fantastic coach.
One for sure. But that's the biggest story, Zach. Obviously this quarterback, these two quarterbacks facing off against each other. You've mentioned it. This is their 5th matchup playing. It's actually 2-2.
Yeah, it's 2-2. Yep.
And this is going to be probably the rubber match, maybe the last time we see these two play against each other. I'm really excited for it. And both these teams really deserve to be in it at the end of the day.
Yeah, they really do. And somebody, I forget who said it, but somebody said it on the broadcast. It's like seeing LeBron James get to play Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
that's what it's like because, you have, Tom Brady, 6 Super Bowl rings. He's going to his 10th Super Bowl up against Patrick Mahomes, who in his first 3 seasons already has an MVP and a Super Bowl MVP as well as a ring. So, I mean, it doesn't get much better than the matchup between these two guys. Maybe you could say Rodgers, perhaps, in terms of just pure quarterback versus quarterback greatness. But you know what? Brady just was really good in that game, especially in the first half. And that's kind of what we wanted to talk about was, what did the Bucs do well to beat that Green Bay Packers team? Because the Packers looked solid all season long. It's weird. Their 13-3 this year looked a lot better than last year's 13-3. That team was tight. They had a top 10 defense. Aaron Rodgers was having an MVP type of season. Aaron Jones was running the ball super well, and it was going to be like, well, what can Tampa Bay do to stop them?
Yep.
And what they did was how you really beat any good quarterback is you generate pressure. They got to Aaron Rodgers a bunch of times. I believe, they got to him 5 times. And it's tough when you're working with a longer field on those third down situations. Now, Rodgers still threw 3 touchdowns to just 1 pick. 346 yards and 33 completions and 48 attempts, but it wasn't enough at the end of the day because they got into so many big situations. So I think the Bucs defense really is the difference maker in that matchup, because we knew both quarterbacks were going to ball out. It was really going to be which defense could step up. And that's a good sign for Tampa moving forward, I think.
Yeah, Zach, and you're asking what the Bucs did right here in this game, and I think they did a lot of different things right in this game. You look at the first half, they took some deep shots down the field. They converted some third downs and some big third downs. They were really good on third down all game, but they took shots
in the first half.
Yeah, especially there in the first half, and they got Chris Godwin involved. You saw what he did. Made a big catch on, I believe it was 3rd and 8 down the field that set up that Leonard Fournette touchdown, which was a great touchdown run. And at the end of the first half, Scotty Miller getting behind the defense, which is inexcusable by the Packers there at the end of the half. You really had an opportunity. Really, they had the ball, were unable to do anything with it, had to give it back to the Bucs, and then they converted that 4th down and then took the deep shot to Scotty Miller, and the next thing you know, you're down by 18 points at the half.
Yeah.
You got a real uphill climb, and Aaron Rodgers had to be pretty much perfect, and he played damn good in that second half. But at the end of the day, you mentioned it, Zach, it was what defense is going to be better? Is it going to be the Green Bay defense, or is it going to be the Buccaneer defense? And in this game, the Buccaneer defense, and pretty much all playoffs, the Buccaneer defense has been the difference maker there, Zach. You mentioned how they got quarterback pressure. You got to give credit to Todd Bowles and kind of with his schemes there, bringing some pressure with some blitzes. You got to give credit to Shaq Barrett, who just dominated Rick Wagner there at right tackle.
I was going to say, we were talking about Jordan and LeBron. We got to talk about Shaq.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Shaq Barrett was awesome. You got to look at JPP, your former New York Giant.
That's right.
He played really good as well. And the final thing I'll mention here about this Bucs defense is, how about the job in the secondary? They did it to Drew Brees, forced him for some interceptions in the divisional game, and they got an interception against Aaron Rodgers in the first half, I believe, in this game.
And at home, which he never does.
Yeah, which he never does. And was it holding? Probably, because he pretty much grabbed his jersey, but he still made the catch, that cornerback, and it was huge for the momentum, and it really set the tone for the defensive backs there for the Bucs. They're clicking on all cylinders, and I really think, Zach, that they wouldn't be in the Super Bowl if it wasn't for this defense, because they pretty much won that Saints game, forcing Drew Brees into a few interceptions and forced turnovers with the Jared Cook fumble. Antoine Winfield made a great play in that one. And then in this game, they got quarterback pressure, made Rodgers feel uncomfortable a little bit at least. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned the stats, Zach.
Well, 5 sacks. I mean, yeah, he's not going to feel comfortable in the pocket. That's
exactly.
For sure.
And you can mention – you already mentioned Aaron Rodgers, almost 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he got his.
Yeah.
But this Bucs defense is legitimate, and you got to give credit to that coaching staff and what they did at the front 7 and the back end to really just disguise some nice things and really kept the Packers offense pretty much out of sorts. You looked at Devontae Adams, Zach. He really didn't have that good of a game. You saw he threw his helmet there on the sideline at one point during the game. So this Bucs team, they really deserve to be in the Super Bowl. Defense wins championships, and that's exactly
it does. Well, I think that was part of the appeal to this Tampa Bay team when Tom Brady hit the free agent market. They seemed like a ready-made team. Jameis Winston was clearly not the guy. He's the definition of a gunslinger, which is not always a bad thing. Like, Brett Favre, Ryan Fitzpatrick, quarterbacks that are, well, I mean, they're not comparable in terms of overall talent, but that type of style you can find some success with. But they knew that wasn't going to work for them. So they had all these weapons on offense. Then they bring in Leonard Fournette and they bring in Wirfs. And then that team was ready to go. But then also I remember thinking at the time, like, man, this defense is really, really good. I remember they had Vita Vea, Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett. Oh man, what's his name? The linebacker, Davis.
Devin White.
Devin White, I think. Yeah, he's unbelievable. Oh,
And
well,
Levante Davis.
White and Davis are
Yeah,
both incredible.
Yep.
Inside there, they had that young secondary, but Sean Murphy Bunting with 3 interceptions in 3 games in the playoffs so far, so that hasn't been a big problem. And at the same time, their front 7 is so good that it can cover up for maybe some mistakes in that young secondary. And last game, they were actually shorthanded. They were missing a player, and they came back around and then got the job done. So, yeah, it's a big thing for them. Also, the fact that they're able to stop the run better than anybody else, I don't think it should be overstated, because when you can't change the pace and you know that the other team's going to throw the ball, then that's a big deal, especially since now a lot of offenses run through RPOs and play action. If you can completely take away the run, I mean, they gave up what? I think it was 67 rushing yards against the Packers. Yeah, and only 27 to their top back, Aaron Jones, in 6 carries. So you get the ball out of one of their best players' hands, and I think that can be pretty big. I know we're not doing predictions, but that could be pretty big next week. You know, keeping it away from Williams and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, getting those guys out of the game. So yeah, we talked about it. The Bucs defense really stepped up, and we could talk about Mike Evans and Brady and all those guys until the cows come home. But at the end of the day, that's what ended up taking them to the promised land this time around. Now we're going to talk about the other game. And it's weird saying other game because we were really spoiled with the championship weekend this time around. We had the Bills and we had the Chiefs. We had the 2 best quarterbacks in the AFC, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, going at it in that game. I loved how the Bills were able to rally back after a little bit of a rough patch in the middle of the season. Their defense started playing a lot better. But then, they come out and the Chiefs did Chiefs things, Matt.
Yes, they did. Zach, they 100% did, and they can beat you in so many ways. In the first meeting between these two teams, Zach, they pounded the rock, ran it all over the Bills, right? They get down 9-0 early in this game on the McCole Hardman fumble on the punt. You got to give credit to the Bills. They go down. After that turnover, they score a quick touchdown to get up 9-0. But then it's just the Patrick Mahomes knowing we've been in this situation before. They came back twice last year in the playoffs with big deficits. The Texans game, they were down 24-0. They scored a bunch of unanswered points, put up 50 on them.
Yeah,
and then the
insane.
Next week, they were down 10-0 to the Titans and came back in that game as well and won that one pretty easily.
They trailed in the Super Bowl too.
And in the Super Bowl. So this team has been there before. Yeah. And the confidence of a Travis Kelce, of a Tyreek Hill, who that might have been the best performance by receivers I've ever seen in a playoff game. Those guys are just unbelievable. What they did against that Bills defense was incredible. It's just those guys are big-time playmakers, and it makes Patrick Mahomes' game easier. When you have guys that can get that kind of separation, it really helps. But this team can beat you on so many levels. Like I said, they ran the ball in the first meeting. This time, they could just dink and dunk their way down the field if they want to take a deep shot. They got those guys who can do that. They are just so creative. And that's Andy Reid being Andy Reid. He's an offensive genius, as well as Eric Bieniemy, who should be a head coach in the NFL. We'll get to that maybe at a later date if he's not hired. But you just have that kind of stuff going on in Kansas City with that offense. And, Zach, I think you've got to also look at this defense. They're a little bit underrated.
They're vastly underrated. They held the Bills to 24 points.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that was pretty good.
The Honey Badger, Zach.
Yep.
The Honey Badger leading that defense, as well as Jones. And Sorensen, who I really like there. He's kind of like a safety linebacker. He can guard and pass coverage.
Breland, Frank Clark, other good guys.
It's a really good defense, Zach. And I think it's a really underrated part of their game that they can get stops and give Patrick Mahomes the ball back.
Yeah, they can. They are an underrated group. And, we talk about, 24 points isn't something for a defense to hang its hat on, but it is when you're playing against the Buffalo Bills team with all kinds of weapons.
Some of those points were in garbage time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they forced some bad decisions too by the coaching staff, those field goals, because the
Yep.
defense is playing so good.
Yep.
They don't feel confident enough that the team can
That's a
get
good
it
way
on
to
the
look
fourth
at it
down.
there.
So yeah, they can criticize McDermott for kicking field goals. And I listen, I get it. You shouldn't be kicking field goals against the Kansas City Chiefs. But when the Kansas City Chiefs defense is playing that well, you got to get something. You can't just put up zeros either. Zeros are worse than threes. I mean, that's first grade math or whatever. So, but yeah, it's going to be a really great Super Bowl matchup. You talk about the receivers though with the Chiefs, I think, and Rob Gronkowski is one of the greatest tight ends of all time. I think Kelsey might be the best tight end that we've ever seen.
Hey.
Because you look at the way that this guy plays. Now, we're spoiled because we've seen Rob Gronkowski. We got to see Tony Gonzalez in his heyday. We got to see Antonio Gates in his heyday. We got to see a little bit of Todd Heap in there. I know that you watch Todd Heap a lot.
I was good. I respect the Todd Heap love.
Todd Heap was great.
Todd Heap
love. Oh, yeah. I had his football card growing up a long time ago. I'm like, this guy's a beast. I was looking at the back. But
Dallas Clark's another name there.
Dallas Clark, yeah. But like Travis Kelce, all the different things he's able to do as a receiver. He's more talented as a receiver than some top wide receivers.
Yep.
You can line him up whatever. He does the slip block well. He can block really well. I mean, look at his numbers in the last game. He had 13 catches for 118 yards and a couple of touchdowns. He can catch those quick ones. He can go outside. He can run up the seam. He can do literally anything that you can.
They like running that shovel play for him too.
I love the shovel play too.
Down at the goal line.
See the misdirection play? Yeah.
Yeah.
You fake like you're going to the fade route, and Kelsey sticks around as a blocker. You just go. Whoosh. It's easy money every time.
They utilize him so well, and
they do.
Like you said, Zach, I'm with you possibly there with Kelsey being one of the best tight ends. It may be the best tight end in NFL history.
I think he's at least the best we've ever seen. Now Gronkowski was great, but he wasn't as like a speed or like pure route runner. Maybe that's where you take him down between Kelsey. Uncoverability, Gronkowski might be a little higher though.
Exactly, and he's obviously got to continue what he's doing.
Of course, but Kelsey's been doing it for a long time already. He did it with Alex Smith too. Yeah. People just didn't talk about it as much.
Exactly,
but he's been elite really for a long time. So, yeah, this is going to be Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
And the gap at tight end really is Travis Kelce, George Kittle, and everybody else.
Like I think Tunyon might be a little overrated. He caught the 10 touchdowns, but is he a major weapon? Is he a major threat? We'll see. He could end up being that. But but after that, like who else?
Mark Andrews,
yeah. People love to say Evan Ingram. As a Giants fan, he's one of the worst tight ends.
He's got some stone hands.
He can't block and he can't catch the ball. So those are the two things you got to do as a tight end, and he can't do either of them. He can run really fast though.
You can run some.
Put him on special teams. Put your number 1 overall pick from a few years ago on special teams. That was in the Mahomes draft. They got Ingram. I remember that.
Okay.
Yeah, I like looking over drafts of players that I don't like on my teams to see who we could have had to just torture myself.
Who could they have had in that draft?
Oh, man, I don't remember, but they could have, like, at least moved up to maybe grab somebody or anything. I remember at the time being –
Pro Bowler, Zach.
Yeah, again, we were talking earlier about Fugazi Super Bowl teams with the Rams being in that Super Bowl. Evan Ingram is the biggest Fugazi Pro Bowler I've ever seen because he wasn't selected by that wasn't because of votes, it's because of his peers. And I don't know what the other football players were, the other NFL players were thinking putting him in there. He was a disaster. He personally cost the Giants at least one game, if not two.
Yeah, one for sure.
The Eagles game, 100%. And all he had to do was his job.
They would have made the playoffs, man.
That's right.
Game.
So he cost them a win and a playoff spot this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people still think that – and every broadcast I had to hear, this is why I don't like how football games, you don't have, like, your own broadcasters unless it's on the radio. Because every week I had to hear a different team talk about how great Ingram was. Every week. They're like, oh, the biggest threat for the Giants and Daniel Jones is going to be Evan Ingram. I'm like, what are you talking about, Jonathan Vilma? Like, you
The key player of the game,
Yeah,
always Evan Ingram.
Always. Even though any Giants fan will tell you that Sterling Shepard is their best offensive weapon when Barkley is hurt. And then after that, actually Darius Slayton is next because he's a deep threat.
Yeah, he is that deep
and
threat.
Will catch the football. I don't know. We're way off track now. But, we got Kansas City Chiefs. We have the Tampa Bay Bucs in the Super Bowl. It's going to be a blast. We have, again, basically Michael Jordan against LeBron James. I think that's one of the best comparisons.
That's a great comparison.
That they could possibly
have. I haven't heard that yet until you mentioned.
Oh, you didn't hear that?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Somebody said it on one of the broadcasts. It had to be of the later game.
Okay.
Because it was once they knew which teams were going to be in it. It was during the Chiefs game once the Chiefs started to pull away. I think Jim Nantz was mentioning that somebody had said it, or maybe he did. But yeah, and we get Jim Nantz and we get Tony Romo for the Super Bowl too, so that's going to be pretty fun as well on CBS. And we'll definitely talk a lot more about that next week. Now, the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to spin around and talk about the quarterback carousel coming up. You're hearing a lot of rumors. I remember right away, Deshaun Watson does not want to be a Houston Texan. And it sounds like that relationship's completely severed. He's like, there's nothing you can do. I don't want to be in this organization. I don't blame him. I mean, look how tumultuous it's been. Now they made the AFC Championship last year, but that team they have Deshaun Watson. They had DeAndre Hopkins. They had JJ Watt. 3 elite players last year, and they still had 2 of them this year, and they can't do anything. Nope. They just trip over their own feet all the time. So I can't blame Watson for wanting out. Then Matthew Stafford and the Lions agreed, I believe it was mutually, that it was time for each other to move on. So we had a pretty nice breakup. Now Stafford, I'm really excited about because I think that he can go on a contending team and he could turn them instantly into Super Bowl contenders. He's the best player that nobody talks about.
Yep.
He's here. I'm going to pull up some of his numbers right now. Let me see if I really don't like Pro Football Reference. I don't understand how it's so much worse than Baseball Reference, but whatever. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Matthew Stafford.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Because he had in his 3rd season in 2011, he had 5,038 yards and 41 touchdowns. Now, he had 16 picks, but he completed 63% of his passes. This guy is unbelievable. He's had 41 and then 20, 29, 22, 32, 24, 29, 21. But, always over 4,000 yards, except for the past couple of seasons. But this year he had 4,000 again. And, yeah, he's just a great down-the-field passer, and he never has anything to work with since Calvin Johnson left, You can talk about maybe some of the guys that they've had through the years, but Stafford's going to be, to me, he's at the top of my list in terms of, well, actually Watson would be, but right behind him has got to be Matthew Stafford. And then, of course, Dak Prescott's got to be a free agent.
Yeah, my cat
third host.
Yeah, my cat just kind of wanted to join the program real quick. But
why not? Is your cat a big Matthew Stafford fan? We were talking about the Lions.
He must be. He jumped on the table once he heard you talking about Matt Stafford and Zack. I agree with you. Matt Stafford, free him. Thank you, Lions.
The Lions never do that. They never free their players. Barry Sanders retired early.
It took him about
Johnson early.
Yeah, exactly. Really. Can you believe that both those guys only played 10 years or
not even really.
Really.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But I'm with you, Zack. Matt Stafford is really going to make a difference for its NFL team, a contending team. You had the Colts on the rundown. I really like that. I
think Stafford on the Colts makes them a Super Bowl team with that defense.
Yeah, and you already saw what Phillip Rivers did. He had a pretty solid year, and he looked like he was struggling to throw the football. This guy has no problem flinging that football.
He's got an arm. Yeah,
he's got a cannon for an arm. He's awesome. He's just so underappreciated because his teams never really had much success, Zack. Little playoff experience. He has made it a few times, but he just never had the players around him really outside of the guys you mentioned in Calvin Johnson really.
That's really it. Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know who else to say. I was going to say Brandon Pettigrew, but he kind of stinks. He's not at tight end. He fumbled a good amount. But yeah, it's just it never really worked out there in Detroit, and they just kept on bringing him in, and he was putting up all kinds of numbers. And part of that is also on coaching. Bringing Matt Patricia in was really not the hire that they needed. Now, this other head coach was talking about biting kneecaps off.
Yeah, that's when it's time to get out of there.
That's when, he probably heard that. He's like, thank goodness
I'm out of here.
I'm out. Now, could we also see him, Zach, to like a San Francisco 49ers team that made the Super Bowl
a
season ago? What's the thing with Jimmy G? Is he going to be the quarterback? He's had some injury problems.
And he's not that great.
And he's really not that great when you look at it.
Yeah.
He had that good year last year. Part of the reason was that defense was really good, and they were still competitive this year, even with some big pieces out. If he goes to a 49ers or Deshaun Watson goes to a 49ers, watch out. So I really like those two places a lot for Matt Stafford. Maybe a Bears if he wants to stay in the division, because who knows what they're doing.
Well, he'll have 2 free wins every year against the Lions, because without him, I don't know how that team's going to win any games.
They're going to have to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, they're going to have to
draft a quarterback.
Yeah, because that team's a mess.
That team, where are they going?
Nowhere.
Are they going?
Nowhere fast.
They got absolutely nothing that gets me excited if I'm a Detroit Lions fan, and especially after hearing that interview from Dan Campbell.
Yeah, that disturbed me.
When I first saw it, I'm like, I want to run through a brick wall for this guy. But when you actually break it down, what the heck was that? Come on.
And you can like, some people are like, don't put too much weight in the press conferences. I don't know. Remember Adam Gase's first press conference? Nightmare. Remember Joe Judge's first press conference? Amazing. And you could tell the trajectory that each of those guys had. So that's just the New York perspective, but you can kind of tell a little bit about what kind of guy you're getting.
Right there, Zach. I mean, I heard that, and I thought, is this guy going to be able to motivate guys? Yeah, he is, because he's just such a meathead kind of.
He's amped up, yeah.
Yeah,
he's going to work out with the players.
Like he if he was in the weight room, man, when the Lions are lifting, he's in there. He's going to be yelling. Mm-hmm. But it's just how he is. So I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about that hire. I'm glad Matt Stafford's out. He needed to be out years ago. And I like his 2 biggest landing destinations have to be the Indianapolis Colts. Now they have something going on here with the Colts, because they could have many options. You could trade for Carson Wentz, have that Frank Reich, Carson Wentz reunion if they want it. Now, are they going to take that contract? Probably not. I'd personally stay away from it. Yeah. I'd go after somebody like Stafford, Zach, if I'm the Colts.
Yeah, Stafford would cost a lot of money as well, but he seems more worth it. He would finally have a good offensive line. He'd have Jonathan Taylor. They would just they could use a pick on a wide receiver, perhaps.
They might overtake the Titans for that division if he comes in.
I think so. I think the Titans window might be closing.
Really?
Kind of soon.
Okay.
The only reason I think that is, how many amazing, outstanding years are you going to get out of Derrick Henry?
Okay.
Yeah, you can't lean your entire team on a running back. It doesn't work. That's not how the NFL works, especially now. It's a passing league. Now, he's outstanding. He had a 2,000-yard season, the quietest 2,000-yard season I've ever heard. Yeah, but that team just there's something about them. It
literally
seems like they're overstaying their welcome a little bit.
Literally the quietest 2,000-yard season with no fans in the stands either.
Oh, well, yeah, that part too. But then after, it was like a few days after the season, and they're like, oh, my gosh, Derrick Henry had 2,000 yards. I'm like, yeah, he had 2,000 yards. Like,
that's a big accomplishment, guys.
It's huge. It's enormous. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about Deshaun Watson, just because I think that he's like really the prized guy. Like, if you could have anybody, just because he's younger and he's locked up for a long period of time, like he has the contract and he's younger than Stafford. And I mean, he had an insane season this year, despite the team being dreadful. And I think he is exactly what the New York Jets need.
Would they be dreadful with him at quarterback like the Texans? Well, now they do have a different identity.
The Jets?
Yeah.
Oh, well, first and foremost, I wanted to talk about Saleh. Saleh is, I think, finally the right head coaching hire. He's the best head coach that they'll have, and he hasn't even coached any games. He's the best head coach that they've had since Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan was a really excellent coach. People forget because towards the end they weren't as good. In those first 2 seasons, in the first season, he took a rookie quarterback to the AFC Championship game. Yeah, not just any rookie quarterback. He took Mark Sanchez to 2 AFC Championship games. They beat the Patriots the one year. I think they beat the Steelers in another year. Like, they beat, like, these great brand name teams, brand name NFL teams.
They beat the Colts, I think, Zach, was the other team.
No, they played the Colts but lost.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that was when the Colts made the Super Bowl against the Saints.
Okay.
Yeah, but they made it twice. So, yeah, Saleh is going to turn – I believe he's going to turn this team around. They have a couple pieces that you could work with. They have 19 draft picks in the next 2 drafts. Now, I know they'd have to spend some of that they got to spend some of that capital, of course, to get Watson. But, even if you send 4 first-rounders for Watson, that's only all your first-round picks for the next 2 years if you want to do that, because they got a first-rounder this year and next year from the Seahawks in the Jamal Adams trade. So you're really only missing out on 2 years of first-round picks.
Which isn't bad for Deshaun Watson.
It's not bad at all. I mean, look at what Washington gave up for RG3. And other King's ransom types of deals that we've seen in the past.
Exactly.
And honestly, I think the Jets might have a little leverage because Watson doesn't want to be in Houston, so they might not even have to give up all of them. And you can get solid players with second rounders. Third rounders are usually first-year starters or going to be starters down the road. So I think the Jets are uniquely set up to go ahead and get out there and acquire Deshaun Watson. And that's the kind of guy that they need. I think the Sam Darnold experiment has ended. I think that he needs to go somewhere else. He's going to end up going wherever like Stafford or any of the other guys like don't end up going. You know what I mean? I still think that Darnold could be a good quarterback, but the Jets need somebody that's right away.
They needed a new identity.
Yeah, and I don't think they should roll the dice with drafting a quarterback either.
No, I don't think so.
It's Lawrence and everybody else. So
I agree with you. I think Deshaun Watson will be, the face of that franchise, kind of like he was in Houston. But this guy would instantly make them better. You got Robert Saleh in there, who I agree with you, Zach, was the right hire, a hard-nosed guy, kind of get in your face, understands the X's and O's. Now, he hasn't been a head coach in the league, but his defense is there in San Francisco. I mean, look what they had to work with this year in San Francisco with all those injuries. And they
lost 2 elite pass rushers.
And they still were competitive. And were really solid on defense. That goes to him. He's a good coach. The Adam Gase experiment's done. I agree with you, Zach. The Sam Darnold experiment, I think it's time to move on. Give him a fresh start. See what he can do somewhere else. Bring in Deshaun Watson. You instantly be competing there in the AFC East because you're looking at the teams there. The Bills are going to be good, okay? The Dolphins are good, but they still need a quarterback.
Right. Is Tua going to develop? We don't know.
Tua, I'm not the biggest fan of Tua, but so you don't know how good they're going to be. Now, their defense had a breakout year, but defenses like that don't always force turnovers year after year after year after year.
Right. But they were also good last year. Flores is a good defensive guy.
Yeah.
So I think we can count on that team's defense being pretty good, but they need a quarterback desperately. You're right. Like they won because their defense wasn't here. It was here.
It was
like they were playing
the elite of the elite.
Yeah. They could still be top 10 every single year, but that offense has to catch up.
Yep. So you look at them and I think what team? New England. New England's the other team. They're going this way. So
yeah, they might be in last place next year, New England.
If Deshaun Watson goes to the Jets, they very well could be.
Yeah.
They very well could be.
No matter what Belichick – unless Belichick gets Stafford.
Which
could happen.
I really don't want to happen.
I don't want it to happen either.
But it totally could happen.
Yeah.
I could see that in the next few months.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Stafford to the Patriots and me just going like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be great for him. But also, they don't have any weapons, though.
They don't have anybody. Myers had some good games, but he's not like a great wide receiver, but he had some good games. He could be a good number 2.
Sure.
But they don't have Edelman is still there, I guess, kind of.
He's been injury prone.
Yeah, he's hurt all the time.
Yeah, he's hurt all the time. So, yeah, Zach, I'm with you. I think if the Jets get Watson, it's going to work out for them. I think they're going to be instantly better. They're going to be competitive in that division. Honestly, I mean, I know the Bills had a great year, but it could be up for grabs. I mean, they were awesome this year, and Josh Allen played about as good as you can.
Yeah, he played out of his mind.
You saw some hiccups in there. I mean, they only put up 17 points against Baltimore. Really, the offense was windy as you know anything there.
Yeah.
But they only put up 17 points, 10 of them by the offense. And then last week they struggled there against that Chiefs team. So I'm not guaranteeing that the Bills are automatically winning the AFC East next year. I'm just not going to do it.
I still think that they should be favorited, but yeah, it will be competitive if Watson ends up going over to the Jets, and then whatever moves that Saleh and Douglas decide to go ahead and move. I wanted to also talk about Dak Prescott, but I think it's a foregone conclusion he's going to be a Dallas Cowboy unless something crazy happens. You know, they know how badly they need him after the terrible season they had this year.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Zach. I would be stunned if he goes somewhere. Now, just he kind of got the short end of the stick just because they kept on waiting to give him that deal.
Yeah.
That max deal and the extension or whatever, because he kept on coming on the franchise tag, and
yeah,
you know, he had that gruesome injury against the Giants, and hopefully he's getting better. I mean, and you know he is. He's young. He's going to come back. And Zach, he's honestly one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch in the whole NFL. I think he's just incredible to watch. I'm a big Dak Prescott fan. I'm not the biggest Cowboy fan.
Right.
I like his game.
See, I can't stand watching him because I have to watch the Cowboys to watch him.
Yeah.
But he is a really good quarterback.
I just like he's a motivator. I like his leadership.
Yeah, his teammates love him.
They would be if Jerry Jones didn't bring him back. What are we talking about here if he doesn't bring him back?
Yeah, you have to.
You gotta let him have that redemption year. And listen, man, if he can come back healthy, you know, he could be in that MVP type of discussion. I really believe that. He was putting up insane numbers. Now, it didn't contribute to winning football because he was a quarterback they stunk. I mean, obviously he would have been the quarterback if he stayed healthy, and he would have put up big numbers. Right. But this guy has the capability of being an MVP. That's just my opinion of the guy. I think he's awesome to watch. I'm hoping that he comes back stronger next year, and they're going to be right in it in the NFC East in that dumpster fire division.
I think the division will be better next year with a healthy Prescott. The Giants will have another year of development. Washington has another year of development. That watch out. They could actually be sneaky competitive next year.
Who, the Cowboys?
No, the NFC East.
Oh, the NFC East.
Yeah.
Well, here's another landing spot. I know we're going to backtrack. Does Matt Stafford, might look at Washington as a destination?
Yeah, he could. I mean, it really comes down to who's got the best trade package. I don't know how much they really got over there, if they have any excess draft capital. But
if I was Washington, Zach, I would bring in like a Jameis Winston.
You bring in Jameis Winston?
I'd bring him in.
I don't think he's –
or Marcus Mariota, one of those guys.
I'd bring in Mariota over Winston because he's not going to turn the ball over as much.
Yep.
And I get that you have the great front seven and you can get the ball back, but you don't want to be getting the ball back 30 times a year.
That's a good point.
I just I never liked Jameis Winston. I always thought that he like chucked the ball too much. I really like his attitude. So I'd rather take Mariota.
He had surgery on his eyes, so he's got like crystal clear vision. So maybe that'll help with the turnover.
Yeah, maybe that'll help with the turnovers.
Also, sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
You see the Steelers picked up Dwayne Haskins?
They did. He's going to be their backup quarterback. If that's their quarterback move and they don't go after one of these guys coming up, we didn't even talk about the Steelers, but if you put Stafford on the Steelers, they're a Super Bowl team.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because I think it's time to move on for Big Ben.
I think so too.
He looked really done in their playoff game against the Browns.
Yards too.
Right? Yeah, he did.
Way to go out! 5 picks, 500 yards.
Yeah, That was
all the career, Big Ben, man. I'm sick of watching you being in the watching you because I'm sorry, he's beaten up the Ravens so many times, man.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I don't like him. You know, the off the field trouble he's gotten into. I don't know. There's just something about him that I dislike. I'm glad the Giants didn't go for him in that draft. It's time for him to go. You know, I think Pittsburgh understands that. I don't know if he does though. He might want to stick around and try again.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be surprised to see him somewhere else next year.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, but if the Steelers are serious on this window, and I do think that they have a wide open window with all the wide receivers that they have and all of the great defensive players that they have, you know, maybe they'll keep that group together the next couple of years. It can't be with Big Ben. I don't think they're going to win another Super Bowl with him.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, there's no more NFL picks except for next week, Matt. But we can recap the ones
we got to do some props, too, for next week.
Totally. We're going to have a ton of props. Bags of chips eaten, frequency of certain commercials for different brands. We'll find some fun stuff. We'll spend some time. It'll be a good time. Well, you did win, Matt. The pick segment.
Take a bow now? Or
yeah, you can take a bow. Although you didn't make the right amount of picks last week. Although I think you did make a fifth pick, but we didn't end up writing it down.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But it didn't matter because you won 26 games, lost 23. I won a cool 25 and 25. So depending on where you put your money, you broke even. I got off to a bad start.
You bounced back. Yeah, that's all you did, man. You put your foot on the gas pedal and said, "Hey, let's get it done."
You know what, Matt? I wish we would have
be proud with that effort.
I am proud of the effort. Not as proud as you should be for winning, but definitely a little proud. Oh yeah, but I wish we would have done some picks during the playoffs because once the playoffs started, I would just text my friends and I would text each other our picks. I was right like almost every time.
I was wrong a good bit. Yeah.
Oh, you're wrong. Well, I had Kansas City. I had Tampa Bay. I had the Browns.
I thought the Saints were going to win against.
I thought the Saints were going to win too. That's the one I got wrong. Yeah. So that was more with my heart because I love me some Drew Brees.
Yeah, no, that was sad seeing him.
I had my Brees jersey on and I had my head down.
Yeah. Well, did you see after that game how like Tom Brady came out and threw that pass to his kids? That was pretty cool.
That was really cool. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, so let's recap the picks real quick. I went 25 and 25. The last time we did picks was week 16. I was 2-3. I lost with Cleveland. They lost to the Jets that week. That was unbelievable. The Giants couldn't score to save their life against the Ravens. The Jaguars got steamrolled, but I did get Cincinnati and Buffalo that week. So that was pretty good. And then you got Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Carolina and lost your Eagles pick over the Cowboys.
Of course I did.
Yeah, but that's not bad.
That's not bad.
That was a good week, 3-1.
Yeah, that was a good week, but looking back on it, why did I even pick the Eagles?
Yeah.
That dumpster fire.
Well, I mean, the next week was the one where you really shouldn't have picked the Eagles.
Oh, no.
Week 17. We didn't even talk about that, but we'll talk about it another time. But for now, we got some NBA picks for you. Now, we're having a little issue with the NBA picks because it's not like football where there's one game a week and the line's set. They don't set the line usually until that day because teams still got to play and this and that, who's going to be injured, who's not going to be injured. I do think, Matt, that they could send up like a preliminary one,
for sure.
but I couldn't really find them anywhere. So we were only each able to find – there's only 4 games on Thursday this week. We're going to do Thursday picks.
NBA Thursday action.
Yeah, little NBA Thursday action. There's only 4 games so far. We're only able to find lines for 2 of them. But here we go. This is what we got. So the Clippers are going to go to Miami and play the Heat. Matt, the Heat are decimated by several different injuries. They're just not playing well with the guys that they have right now. Bam can only do so much. Dragic can only do so much. And they're going to be playing against a Clippers team that, they'll have rested guys. They sit a lot of their players. Even if some of the stars don't play, I think the Clippers easily can roll over the Miami Heat. That game does not have a line. But unless it's something ridiculous, like go ahead and pick the Clippers. I think that one's a no-brainer. And then we have a really interesting matchup of Western Conference teams. We have the up-and-coming Phoenix Suns, the 8-0 in the bubble team, with Chris Paul now joining Ayton and joining Booker.
Yep.
This team's pretty good.
I like them. They're fun.
They're a lot of fun, and they're beating some teams.
Yeah.
They're gonna go ahead and they're gonna play
Chris Paul factor, man. He makes such a difference. He is so disrespected.
It's because he doesn't have any finals wins or appearances. But he's one of the best point guards of all time.
He's just so disrespected.
Yeah, he's great. I remember I have 2K11 for the Xbox 360. And
you still throw it back and play that?
I play it all the time.
That's my some NHL 13 on
hey, there you go.
360. So.
I play NHL 04 for the GameCube. That's my favorite hockey game.
Oh, really? Is that? I have a GameCube. Maybe I can buy that off of eBay or something.
Oh, you got to. It's the first game that had fighting, and like, it seems like 50% of the time you check someone against the boards, the glass breaks. It's amazing.
That is awesome.
Oh, it's so much fun.
My favorite game for GameCube is NFL Blitz 2003.
Oh, good one.
It's like arcade football. It's so much fun.
Oh,
and you can like hit the guys after the whistle. Like there's no penalty. I have a glitch where like if the guy's in the single back and behind under center, you just dive and you pretty much get a sack 5 out of every 10 times. I got that game mastered.
That's you ever play Tecmo Bowl?
Yeah. That's a throwback.
So the Nintendo Switch, if you have their online, has like a thing where you can play old Nintendo Entertainment System games. One of them's Tecmo Bowl. And me and my buddy Reed got into it a couple years ago with it. Like, and it's great. You only can call 4 plays. Like it's nuts. And if you guess the play that the opponent picked, it's automatically a loss or like a turnover or whatever.
That's great.
And if you're the Giants, Lawrence Taylor is so broken. He's just faster than everybody
else.
Yeah. And then Bo Jackson's the same way with the Raiders.
Bo Jackson in that game is
he's more broken in Tecmo Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's the one where he's absolutely insane. But anyway, we're talking about Chris Paul and the Suns and the Warriors. Matt, you and I were talking about it before the show. The Warriors are Steph Curry and then whoever decides to show up that day.
Real quick, do you think they made the wrong choice going with Wiseman? I think they did.
With Wiseman over LaMelo?
Ball. Yeah.
I mean, now it definitely looks like they should have went with Ball. Although –
could you imagine that? Real quick. I mean, having Steph Curry under, like, just mentor LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Oh, my God.
He would definitely have a great jump shot. That's for sure.
Just in general, I think they made the wrong choice going with
I think
Wiseman.
so, too. I think – you know what happened, Matt? They got caught up, and I got caught up in this as well. Wiseman fit the obvious need on the team. The team needed a big. Wiseman was the best available big. It wasn't going to cost them any free agency dollars. They could get him in the draft. I think he is going to be a really good player. He has shown flashes. He is pretty good. I mean, they're all young guys.
Oh, absolutely.
So we won't see their true colors for a few years. But in terms of immediate impact, I mean, LaMelo is clearly the best in the rookie class right now. I remember picking Anthony Edwards more or less just to not pick LaMelo when we were doing our rookie of the year picks. I'm like, all right. I'm like, Matt's going to pick LaMelo. I got to pick somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Edwards seems like he's going to be good. But, yeah, the Warriors just not – they're 9-8. They got a winning record. But I think they're going to struggle against the Suns. The Suns look like a little bit more of a complete team going forward. So that's what I got. I got the Clippers over the Heat, and I have the Suns -1.5 over Golden State. Yeah, if the Suns are going to win that game, it's going to be by a bucket.
A bucket. No. Yeah, I agree. I think the game's going to be close as well. I like.
They're not going to win by a free throw. Yeah.
No. Yeah, they're going to win by a bucket. I'm with you 100% there on the Golden State Warriors. They show up when they feel like it almost.
Which is a shame because Kerr is a great coach. So you wonder why that's happening.
Yeah, because like you see him play the Knicks the other night. They get absolutely steamrolled. They look like they don't even want to be there, but then they play like a better team. And next thing you know, it's the Steph Curry show. Let me drop 40 real quick.
Yeah.
So, Zach, I like your picks. I'm going to pick the 2 other games there from NBA Thursday, Zach. I'm going to kick it. There's no line on this Lakers-Pistons game, Zach. Both teams are coming off of back-to-backs. The Lakers are actually in Philly tonight. I'm going to tune into that right when we're done with this show.
All right.
So I'm really excited to watch that. But anyway, Lakers and Pistons, Zach. Listen, I think if the Lakers, they can trot out LeBron, and if AD wants to take off for that game, he can. I don't really know what that line's going to be. Yeah. I like the Lakers to cover it. My guess would it be probably over 10, Zach? If any.
And even then, the Lakers are probably going to blow them out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think the Lakers, they just, Detroit, they have Jeremy Grant. By the way, they might be the worst basketball team in the NBA.
Yeah, they're awful.
I just, this is their team. It's Dwayne Casey, who, listen, I respect him. He did great things in Toronto. I thought Detroit was going to be way better. You have him. Their team is him, Derrick Rose, Blake Griffin, and a bunch of other dudes on that team.
That team is just a nightmare.
Oh, my gosh. They are just incredibly bad. And the fact that the Sixers lost to them on Monday is a disgrace. But
are they worse than the Wizards?
They're right there, Zach.
Because the Wizards are a complete dumpster fire.
Oh,
they have two guys that score, it seems like 90% of their points.
I'm tuning in when those two teams play together because I want to see who's
the Pistons and the Wizards.
Yeah, I'm tuned in. I'm watching that start to finish. I'll get it.
How?
I just want to see who's worse.
Yeah, but how are you going to get through 4 quarters of that?
I don't know, man.
Bad NBA basketball is really hard to watch. At least for me.
Like I threw on a Pistons-Hawks game last week, and the Pistons were up like 17 points. And Trae Young, and I think that was the game where Clint Capella had like 26 boards and 28 points or something.
Yeah.
I'm watching the Pistons. I'm just like, this team stink. I don't understand how that roster is assembled. Like, that's what I don't understand. And I think they should be better because they have Blake Griffin and they have Derrick Rose. But to be honest, and I respect both those players, they're just washed.
Well, it's not 2011 anymore,
Blake Griffin doesn't have them jumping over a car type of hawk.
No, he's not. And Derrick Rose isn't exploding towards the basket the same way.
Exactly. So I like the Lakers against the Pistons in any line, really. They're going to win that game, probably going to blow them out. Zach, here's the other game. It's Houston and Portland, Zach.
That's going to be a good game.
It is going to be a good game. Now, both teams in kind of similar situations in standings. From a standings perspective, the Houston Rockets at 7-9 made that trade for James Harden, brought in some other players. I love Victor Oladipo being there.
Yeah, that was a good move.
Really helps. I like that core. I do. I like the John Wall. I like his motivation.
Yeah.
Since he's been back. They're a fun team to watch. They got that rookie head coach. He's done a pretty decent job handling all this stuff. They got Boogie Cousins. I kind of like
he's balling out.
Yeah, he's playing well. I like this squad, Zach. And Portland, listen, I've been such a Portland fan, and they really disappointed me last year with how they played, finishing at the bottom of the West and, having to claw their way in. And I think that they're just going to be stuck where they are. They're at 9-7. They're going to have some times when they have some good games and win a few in a row, and then they're going to have games where they lose some. I like Damian Lillard. He's popcorn, get my popcorn ready type of player. He's that good. Same with CJ and Carmelo, who's still there.
And whenever Nurkic plays, when he's not hurt.
They have a core there, Zach.
Yeah, they have great players. They just don't seem to be able to win.
Exactly. And, it's just really weird because they were in the Western Conference Finals 2 years ago, and I praised Terry Stotts. I thought this guy was a great NBA coach, and I'm not saying he's not, but the downward slope this team's been on since that run is kind of questionable for me because now they did lose Nurkic a lot last year, and that hurt them. I understand that, but I just thought Damian Lillard and CJ were that good where they were going to be able to overcome it. So in this game, Zach, I know I went on a little bit of a soliloquy there on both teams.
It's all right.
In this game, I'm going to go Houston over Portland. I just kind of like the way Houston's playing right now. They've won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love John Wall. Since he's come back, man, I just like his passion on the court.
He's got a fresh start. He needed to change scenery.
He needed it, and he's taken it all the way. I really like that Houston team. I like how they're playing. I like Victor Oladipo. I think in this game, they're hot right now, winning their last 3. I think they beat Portland on Thursday. Zach, those are my picks there. Lakers over Pistons, Houston over Portland. Hopefully we have more NBA picks for Thursday. As Zach, you already mentioned, only 4 games. We're going to try to figure this out. let us know. I mean, let us know what you guys think. But those are our picks there, Zach. I'm feeling pretty solid about those.
Yeah, I think those are some pretty good picks as well. I mean, the Lakers over Pistons is a foregone conclusion. Houston and Portland's going to be a clash. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And, it was a lot of fun coming back. Season 2, Zack and Mac. Hope you guys had a good time as well. Yeah, Matt, it was just fun to be back this week,
Oh, yeah, Zach. I'm really pumped up to be back. And we did our little hiatus. We're back for season 2, man. It's going to be a big-time season for us. Happy New Year. I know it's late.
Yeah, big time Happy New Year. I mean, hey, we haven't seen anybody, so
yeah,
Happy New Year.
New Year to everybody. Again, thanks for the support. I'm going to be more about this in a sense where I'm going to be tweeting it out. I'm going to be a little bit more active on social media.
Well, we've got your new basement studio.
Yeah, basement studio, making sure you guys know this stuff's out.
That's right.
Make sure, hey, if you guys got questions, again, Zach throws this up on YouTube. So put some comments in there.
Drop them down. Slide in.
Subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
Throw a like on the video. And just know that, we're busting our hump trying to get out some content for you guys. And,
that's right.
We love all y'all, man. And it's good to be back.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Matt, great to see you as always. We'll see you right here next week, next Thursday, right here on the Zack and Mac podcast. Zack and Mac podcast. There we go. That's a little tough to say pretty quickly. Zack and Mac podcast.
You did pretty good though.
Yeah, I got it right.
By the third time you saying that, you're going to be like Zack and Mac podcast. Zack and Mac podcast.
Well, see, you got it. You got it instantly. So
it was on the top of my head right away.
Maybe I got to fix it up. But anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Stay frosty.